had the privilege to travel around the world to do this work. And right now, our approach, called Ruler, is in about 700 schools throughout the world. And many years ago, I was in England, where I began a lot of my international work. And I had the opportunity to really do some interesting studies in England, as well as create a lab in a school. And there was a little boy in this school who I never met until after he had been trained in emotional intelligence. His name is Gareth. And Gareth was a little boy who was horrifically bullied in his elementary school, and then went to this middle school that was very different. They had embraced emotional intelligence. And this is a poem that he wrote in his class on emotional intelligence about his experiences of bullying and the way he thought about it now as a little bit different than he thought about it previously.
You're ugly. I know, I have been told this. You're silly. I know, I've realised this. You look like an alien. I know this has been pointed out to me. You have big eyes. I know, I have looked in the mirror. You can't be a pilot, you're not smart enough. It is possible, I have considered this. With every insult you invent, it's strange but it's true. You point out my many failings and help me to improve. As you highlight my many weaknesses, you also highlight my strengths. My ugliness leads to my kind personality. My silliness brings laughter to the world. Our resemblance to movie aliens only highlights my intelligence. My big eyes portray my feelings and widen my view. I may not make it as a pilot, but I could be. You see, every insult you invent gives me a view into your mind. And though I have many problems, I feel sorry for you. Why, oh why, do I feel sorry for you? Because your mind cannot break free. The wall of insults you build limits your mind and feelings. So as soon as you don't stop, you'll turn inhuman and have the biggest problem of all, loneliness. Think about it.
So, as we think about this boy's life in school, how was he able to he was a CD failing student in 5th and 6th grade. How could he have been successful when that's the way he felt about his life, when that's the way he thought other people felt about him? Gareth went into this school where he was feeling much safer, more confident. He was developing skills. And he wrote this poem, and originally they were doing public speaking, and he said, I'm not ready, and I'm scared to share it, because I don't know what's going to happen if I share it. And the teacher, of course, having been trained, said, well, you know what, Gareth, that's okay. You don't have to share it right now. But is it okay if I share it with other teachers? He said, that would be fine. So here is now in this new middle school, the poem has been brought around, and teachers come out, Gareth, my goodness, you're so articulate. Gareth, that poem, how meaningful, how wonderful that poem was. His self-esteem is building. He says to his teacher a few weeks later, I'm ready to read it to the class. He reads it to the class. Lo and behold, he gets a standing ovation from his peers. They say, we wouldn't treat anybody like that here. That's not the way we do business in this school. And what's interesting about Gareth, this is about 3 or 4 years ago now. I've gone back to this school. He's in high school now. And I remember sitting just about 2 years ago in the cafeteria, having meetings. And he came up to me, sir, do you remember me? I said, of course I remember you. I've been exploiting you throughout America. I said, of course I remember you. And he goes, I want to be a poet. I said, that's fantastic. And he goes, and I have a girlfriend now. I said, great. And he said, do you want to read some more of my poems? I said, absolutely. And he's brings me this pile of things. And he walks away and he says, sir, look for me on the bookshelves. I can take credit for Gareth because I wasn't his teacher. And I get emotional just thinking about it, because when I think about what it was like for him, like it was for me in elementary school, not having that ability to connect, not having that ability to feel safe and valued, how could you survive in that environment? Now he's in a place where he feels safe, where he feels valued, where he can succeed. From the reading of his poem, we know that he's academically gifted, but you can't show your academic or cognitive ability if you're feeling oppressed or you're feeling unvalued or not valued. So I will end today by reading a poem